for loop, the block code gets executed for as long as a certain condition holds true. So and just like I always put it, I'm going to start with an example for demonstration purposes. So let's start. So when it comes to the for loop, you need first the for keyword, and then you define a variable, the variable you are going to use for a condition. Then you need the condition to check, and also for in our case here we are incrementing our I, the iterator. So this I is what we're incrementing it so that we do it a certain number of times for as long as this condition holds true. Okay, I will explain this properly, but for now let me first run the code, then I will explain to you properly how everything is going on here. So if I run the code, you can see this side they have printed out 0 up to 4. So what's happening is here we're saying for as long as we've declared I, an integer, I is equal to 0, and then we're saying that for as long as I is less than 5, this block of code should be executed. So, and in our case our block of code is that we are just printing out I. So what here is like we have the condition I should be less than 5. For as long as I is less than 5, this should be executed, and then I will be incremented. So for example, as for the start, I is equal to 0. We need to come into check, is I less than 5? Yes. So this block of code will be executed, 0 will be printed out, and after that I will be incremented to 1. So it will come again, is 1 less than 5? Yes. This block of code will be executed again, then I will be incremented to 2. So just like that, for as long as this condition holds true, the loop keeps going. Yeah, so that's how the for loop works. So in our case, for as long as our I is less than 5, this condition should be incremented, and it will keep incrementing I. So we're incrementing I so that the loop goes on a number of times, because if we don't increment I, it means I will always be 0, and if I will always be 0, it means I will always be less than 5, and it means that the loop will keep going, like it will not terminate. So we need to make it have an end by increasing I. So each time the loop is executed, I gets incremented, so that when I reaches 5, this loop stops. So the for loop is mainly used if you exactly know the number of times you want your code to be executed. So I'm pretty sure it's clear about the for loop and how everything goes. So you need I'll repeat, you need the for keyword, then you need the condition, and of course you need a variable to use. So this you declared, this one is executed only once. I is less than 0. Okay, so we've declared I is equal to 0. We have declared the variable and we've assigned 0 to it, so we've initiated a variable I as an integer, and this I is the one we're using to check that for as long as that integer I is less than 5, this block of code should be executed, and after that I should be incremented. So we're increasing I so that when it reaches number 5, it will stop now. So print from 0 up to out 4, as you can see on this side here. So I'm sure it's clear for the for loop. And then just for the sake of clarity, let me try to explain again using another example. So I'll comment out this. Okay, so let's look at this simple code snippet below. Okay, so we have here, we are saying here, remember, here we were incrementing I by 1, but in this example we are incrementing it by 2. So, and here we only said I less than 5, but here we are using less than or equal to. So meaning here I can go as far as 10. Here in our case I was less than 5, as you saw the results. We only printed up to 0 up to 4. Why? Because we included that I should be less than 5, and I was only incrementing, but was being incremented by 1 only. Hence we printed out only from 0 up to 4. But in this case it's different. Just for the sake of understanding, we are incrementing our I by 2, and also we're using less than or equal to 10. So here it means we'll go as far as 10. But you need to understand one thing here. So look, first I'll run the code, then I'll explain to you how everything is going. So let me run the code first here. So okay, so look, first I is 0. First I is 0. Then it will come here, is I less than or equal to 10? Yes, I is 0 is less than 10, of course. So this code will be executed. And what code is being executed? Simply printing out this on the console. So we are printing out this on the console. So 0 will be printed out, and after that I now will be incremented by 2. So this thing here, I is equal to I plus 2. What it simply means is like each time I will be incremented by 2. That's what that simply means. And so as it will come here, first I is 0, so 0 will be printed out, and then I will be incremented to 2. Here we are incrementing by 1, but in this example we're incrementing by 2. So in this case I is now 2. It will come, is 2 less than 10? Yes. So this will be this code will be executed, which is simply printing I on the console, which is 2 to be printed out. And after that I again will be incremented by 2. Remember it was 2, so it will be incremented by 2 and it will become now 4. So 4 will be printed out just like that. So if you have observed properly, this is a for loop that prints only, it's only printing from 0 up to 10, only even numbers equal to less than or equal to 10. So I'm sure you now understand the secret here, and as always, if there are any questions you can easily hit me up in the comment section. So let's understand one thing here. We're able to have a loop inside another loop, and such loops are called nested loops. So let's hit the road and start. Okay, so for example, here we have a for loop inside a for loop. We have a for loop inside a for loop. So, and such a loop is called, such loops are called nested loops. So we have an outer loop, and within that loop we have another loop which is called the inner loop, and such loops are called nested loops, where you have a loop inside another loop. So I'm sure on what nested loops are, it's clear, but let's now just try to understand how the logic is flowing here so that we comprehend how to go about nested loops. So in this case we have declared that remember, always you look at the condition. This first condition here is just you're just trying to define a variable. You are declaring a variable and assigning a value to it. So we're saying I is equal to 1, so it's meaning we're just using I to iterate. So, and then here we're saying the condition is that I should be less than or equal to 2. Remember here I is starting at 1 and it shouldn't exceed 2. For as long as this condition holds true, all this thing that is inside, this thing that is inside should be performed. Remember, in this case, we only had this inside these curly brackets. Always follow in for the for. What the code to be performed is what is inside the curly brackets. So here inside the curly brackets we have all this. Inside the curly brackets we have all this. It's even including another for loop inside the curly brackets. So what will happen is, in this case, we have I equal to 1 and I less than 2. So for as long as I is less than 2, this should be performed. So let's go. We have first I is equal to 1. As it will come, is I less than 2? Yes, of course, because 1 is less than 2. So this will be executed, which is outer plus I, and I is 1. So this, when you have a string plus an integer, this plus will not be printed out. This just means it's like you are combining things together, you are trying to concatenate them together. So this I will not, this plus will not be printed out. That's just, it's only used for combining. So we're saying this should be printed out, and also this should be performed. So it will come again to this. For j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to 3, j is being incremented by 1. So for one loop, for one run for this, for one I, for example, I less than I equal to 1, as it will be compared here, this will be executed and this also will be executed. So it will come here again, j is equal to 1, j less than or equal to 3 to check the logic is the same. So let's try to I feel like it might be a little bit if you're completely new. If you're completely new, if you already know, it's fine. If you're completely new, it might seem a little bit hard to understand, but let's just try to run the code and then it will help us understand how everything is flowing. So so let's look what's happening. Let's first look at the result. We have outer 1, inner 1, inner 2, inner 3. So what's happening is this loop, how many times will it go? Only 2 times. Why? Because first I is already 1, so it will check, is 1 less than 2? Yes, it will go. Then I will be incremented to 2, and then when it comes to 2, it will go again, because 2 is less than or equal to 2. The condition is 2, correct? So this loop will go twice. Now, and each time this loop goes, this thing happens. Each time we're saying this loop goes twice, and each time it goes, this happens. So when it goes once, here for example, it goes once, it will print out this, and then it will do this. So this, it will be done how many times? 3 times. This loop will go 3 times. In one, when this one goes once, this one will happen 3 times. Why? Because this is within this loop, because this for loop here is within another for loop. So when the outer for loop goes once, this inside will go how many times? 3 times. And then when it goes for the second time, it will go again 3 times. So I'm sure it's clear about the for loop there. If there are any questions, you can ask me in the comment